They said it was over. When they walked out. When they smeared your name. When they made sure everyone knew. You were the problem. The broken one. The one who needed help. They said it was ruin. That you lost everything. When in truth, you were finally free to build something real. Because the life you had wasn't yours. It was a mask they made you wear. A script they forced you to memorize. Love meant performing. Silence meant safety. And boundaries? That was betrayal. So when it all burned down, you thought you failed. But what really happened is you woke up, and in that silence, in the ashes, you found your own breath again. You remembered what your voice sounded like. Without fear. Without correction. Without tiptoeing around their ego. This isn't the end. This is what happens when survival turns into choice, when hypervigilance gives way to vision, when you finally realize you don't have to explain yourself to people who only listen to rewrite your truth. They thought they ruined you. They didn't. They just removed themselves from a story they were never meant to control. And now, you get to build a life that doesn't collapse when they disapprove. You get to start over. But this time, you are the foundation. You were taught to chase what hurt you the most. You didn't learn love. You learned proximity. You learned that if you stayed close enough, quiet enough, useful enough, they might not explode. They might not disappear. They might not turn cold. So, when peace came, you didn't recognize it. When someone spoke with kindness, you waited for the trap. When a door opened, you flinched. Because safety was never safe. They didn't just control your world. They rewired your instincts, trained you to feel guilt anytime you felt free, taught you to call pain normal and survival love. But here's the truth, and it might take time to believe it. What hurt you is not who you are. And just because you learned dysfunction doesn't mean you have to repeat it. You get to unlearn it. You get to question every voice in your head that says you're too much, too needy, too emotional, too sensitive, too loud, too quiet, too broken. You're not too much. You were just around people who made you feel small, so they could feel big. They needed you to shrink, so they could stay unchallenged. But now, you're allowed to expand. You're allowed to rest, without earning it. You're allowed to feel safe, without permission. You're allowed to stop explaining, to stop performing, to stop carrying the blame they handed you when you were too young to refuse it. This is your reprogramming, your reset, your reminder. You were not born to be a reflection of their pain. You were born to become everything they said you couldn't be. And now, you're already becoming it. They thought it was the end of you. When they left, when they lied, when they laughed at your silence. But the ending they hoped for became the beginning you chose. Because nothing they tried could erase the truth. Not the guilt, not the gaslighting, not the shame they buried in your chest like landmines, waiting to go off every time you try to trust again. But here you are, still rising. Not perfectly, but honestly. You don't hide your cracks. You light them up, because now you know. You were never broken, just breaking out of their control. You are the evidence. That healing is not a return. It's a revolution. You didn't get over it. You grew through it. And that kind of growth is sacred, loud, unapologetic. This version of you, the one that no longer performs, no longer shrinks, no longer begs for love. You didn't find them by accident. You earned them. With every sleepless night, every time you almost went back, every moment you chose truth over comfort. You used to think forgiveness meant forgetting. But now, you know, You don't have to forget. To be free. You don't have to go back. To move forward. You don't have to soften the story. To make others comfortable. Your story is not too much. Your truth is not too loud. Your healing is not too late. It's right on time. And now, you don't just carry your past. You carry your power. You are not just the result. You are the rebuild, the rebirth, the reckoning, and the reminder that sometimes the beginning doesn't come until after the ruin. If this spoke to you, you're not alone anymore. New messages drop every week. Subscribe and stay rising.